Hey fellow Force users, what is up? It's Jasmine, the AhsokaTanoFan. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So guys, as you can see, I'm rocking some new gear today. New Ahsoka shirt, just in time for today's video, guys. So I cannot believe a week has gone by already. Last week's episode, I'm still thinking about it. I'm pretty sure we're all still thinking about it. It was absolutely mind-blowing seeing those Clone Wars flashbacks, especially, and seeing live action Ahsoka for the first time was just insane. If you had told me 15 years ago that I'd be seeing this, I wouldn't believe it. When Ahsoka first came out, how she was received by the audience was kind of rocky. A lot of people weren't too thrilled with her character. Fast forward 15 years later, she's one of the greatest fan favorites in Star Wars. So it's truly, truly special what we got last week. I think this series is just crushing it so far, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I really think that it is some truly great peak Star Wars. The story's incredible. There's been lightsaber action every single episode, which is hard to pull off, but they've been able to pull it off flawlessly. Again, just last episode, seeing Hayden Christensen come back as Anakin, seeing his interactions with Rosario, and then the young Ahsoka, whose name we know is Arianna Greenblatt. She's got quite the resume, by the way. She played young Gamora, she was in Barbie, and now she's playing young Ahsoka. So that's pretty impressive for someone her age. Yeah, more about last week's episode. It showed us so much. Ahsoka confronting her past and finishing her training with Anakin. Although I guess we can't really say for sure that her training is finished, because the way he kind of said there's hope for you yet, it's possible that could have been the end, or we could potentially see him later down the road. But that was just so epic how you saw hints of the dark side and light side within Anakin, and the words he spoke to Ahsoka, saying that she is kind of a part of him and he's a part of her in a sense, and everything that he's taught her has made her who she is. And then for her being kind of tested in that final duel when she's back as older Ahsoka, holding the red blade and then deciding to toss it away, was just really, really powerful. And then again, just shows how Ahsoka has always walked her own path and resisted the dark side. Again, a masterpiece of an episode. I'm curious to see if this one's gonna be able to top that one, to be honest, but so far the series has been doing really good, so I don't doubt it. I was looking at some of your comments as well. You guys seem to really enjoy the episode, and I was reading what you're saying about the world between worlds also. I know in my last video, my thought was that it wasn't the world between worlds. I was actually thinking that it was something that was happening in her mind, and what Jacen Syndulla was hearing was actually her thoughts, the way that you would sense someone's thoughts through the Force. Only reason I thought that is because just from Rebels, the world between worlds, Ezra and Ahsoka were physically present. While Ezra was in the world between worlds, Sabine was outside distracting all the guards. He wasn't physically there. And when Ahsoka was there, she had escaped her duel with Vader, and you saw clear portals to different points in time, and we didn't really see so much of that last episode. It really felt like she was kind of doing a walk through memory lane with her old master, and then you saw her body physically floating in the water. So that's why I was thinking it wasn't the world between worlds. But then you guys had some interesting thoughts as well on how Ahsoka might have actually formed a special connection with the world between worlds, perhaps due to her connection with the daughter. Who knows? But anyways, I love the fact that that episode generated so much discussion, and I like when episodes really make you think and have it in such a way where you can interpret it in multiple ways. I think that's what made last week's episode so deep, so I love that. And on a side note, guys, something I meant to mention in my last video, all this time portal talk got me thinking. It reminded me of an idea I had years ago, actually, close to when the Clone Wars first aired, and I did not want Ahsoka to die. And I remember just having this idea, what if they make it so that the Separatists are working on a time weapon or something like that, and Ahsoka somehow falls into it and then wakes up during the events after Return of the Jedi or something like that, and then she runs into Luke and then says, oh, I'm looking for Anakin Skywalker. And then he says, we have much to discuss, and then the two of them talk, and then she basically bypasses all the events of Revenge of the Sith and the Empire, and then she lives on as young Ahsoka during that time and grows up alongside Luke, hearing about what her master turned into, and then starts on her own path again. I just had that idea a long time ago. But anyways, all this world between worlds and time portal stuff kind of reminded me of that, so I thought I'd share it. Going into this week's episode now, last week we did not see Shin, Baylan, Sabine, or Morgan Elsbeth. I presume that we're definitely going to see them this episode, and last we saw of them, they had taken off in the Eye of Sion and were headed out to seek Thrawn. So if I had to guess, I feel like we're gonna see Thrawn this episode. When in the episode, I can't say. Maybe towards the end, it could be a cliffhanger sort of thing. But either way, I think we're getting Thrawn really soon. The question is, when we see Thrawn, are we gonna see Ezra right away, or did the two of them become separated somehow? But either way, guys, I'm so excited to get to this week's episode. So without further ado, guys, let's make the jump into today's episode and check out what's in store for us. Jump as in hyperspace jump, Eye of Sion, get it? I'm so corny sometimes. Part 6, let's go. Thing is, we gotta figure out too where the Purrgil are going. Are they actually going to lead them to where Thrawn and Ezra is? Or what if Thrawn and Ezra are somehow separated and the Purrgil lead Ahsoka and Huyang to Ezra, and then Morgan and all them are going to Thrawn, and then eventually they end up confronting one another? That would be pretty epic. But we'll see. Oh, I feel like if you were on shrooms or something, this is probably what it would look like.
Intergalactic travel within a star whale. I really have done it all.
I remember them from the stories you would tell us when we were younglings back at the temple.
Oh, another Clone Wars callback.
I still have those stories in my archive memory. Would you like to hear one?
Not right now.
Oh, she's still thinking.
There's something I didn't tell her about Sabine. She went with the enemy willingly.
Oh, that part, yeah, when she gave her the map. When she gave up the map.
She could have ended this. No throne. No war.
And no Ezra.
Yep.
Perhaps for Sabine, it was the only choice.
And second thought, tell me one of those stories.
I can't tell if she's a little mad right now.
Time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Far, far away.
He actually said it, I was joking. Oh my gosh, is that where the saying comes from, guys? Huyang is the one that's been saying that? And it's called Far, Far Away. Wow. Has he been saying that to all the generations of younglings he taught, and that's where the saying comes from?
I was hoping for a room with a view.
I would think this would be an opportunity for reflection.
You promised me I would see Ezra again.
You believed him? Maybe he meant in the afterlife.
We had a deal!
You can never trust the enemy when they say you'll be reunited with your friend. They usually don't mean that in a good way. Shin, my girl. And Morgan.
We have arrived at our destination.
They've arrived. What are they gonna find?
That is Peridia, the ancient homeworld of my ancestors, the Dathomiri.
Dathomiri? Wow.
The end of the migration route used by the star whales.
Oh, so the Purrgil are gonna go there. Oh, is that like an asteroid field? It kind of reminds me of the Clone Wars, the Blue Shadow Virus arc. Well, that's a cool looking ship. What look is that? I'm trying to figure out what they're thinking. Whoa, what was that? That was a big statue. Is this the same planet that Luke was on in the sequel trilogy, or no? Are we about to see Thrawn right now? Oh, are these the Night Sisters? Looks like them. That is 100% the Night Sisters. Oh my gosh. They look freaky in live action. Mind you, they look freaky in the animation as well, but why does she look so different than them?
Child of Dathomir. Thank you, Great Mother.
But it's not Mother Talzin. It can't be her because she died, right?
More witches. Where is Thrawn?
He is coming. It reeks of Jedi.
So they sense something in Sabine, or do they sense Ahsoka's presence from Sabine? Wait, what? Are they gonna do something to Sabine?
It will wait in solitude.
For a second I thought they were gonna cast a spell on her or something. Poor Sabine being transferred from one cell to another.
Children's stories come to life.
I know no such stories.
You weren't raised at the temple.
Where was she raised?
When I was a bit older than you are now, I watched everything I knew burn
Order 66? Is that
The
what you're talking
Jedi
about?
Temple.
As you get older, you realize it's all inevitable. Fall of the Jedi, rise of the Empire. It repeats again.
Fall of the Empire, Rise of the Republic.
Won't our alliance with Thrawn finally bring us into power?
You know, I bet you he's gonna be different than what they're expecting when he comes back. He may not be as friendly as they think he's gonna be.
So I may finally bring this cycle to an end.
It's such a shame that he passed away. I can hardly believe it when I see him on screen. It's just hard to believe that he's not here anymore. Wouldn't that be something if she hones her force abilities while in captivity? Is she doing something right now? Or is that Thrawn coming? That is definitely Thrawn. Oh my goodness. Let me just sit up. The music is so ominous. Oh. Where is Ezra gonna be? I am wondering that. They all look... They look not right. I'm dead. Oh my god, there he is! And we're only seeing the back of him. They all look dead, man. Did he use the Night Sisters to bring them back or something? That's supposed to be Lars Mikkelsen as well, the voice actor from Rebels. Oh my gosh! There he is!
It's just a dream has become a frightening reality for those who may oppose us.
Oh, his voice!
Great mothers, I salute you.
Oh my gosh, perfect.
I am a veiled servant, Grand Admiral.
Oh my gosh.
They have brought a prisoner.
Oh my... Oh man.
I brought the prisoner. She could be of some use to us.
Mercenaries.
I'm a little nervous right now. He's not gonna kill anybody, is he?
General Baylan Skull of the Jedi Order.
The prisoner is Sabine Wren.
He knows her. So obviously,
Your name.
he's gonna definitely want to talk to her.
She'd be of great use to us.
Oh my gosh. Damn. He kind of does look like Elon Musk. I see people were saying with all the memes. But it just, wow. Seeing him live action wise, he looks perfect. And then hearing the voice from Rebels too, it's just incredible. He's so soft spoken and so intimidating at the same time.
I understand it is you I have to thank for my escape from exile.
Yep. In other words, it's your fault.
Desire to be reunited with your long-lost friend. I'm aware of your agreement with Baylan Skull, and I intend to honor it.
Is he gonna bring her?
Conditions, amount, the latest intel on Bridget's whereabouts.
Okay, so he doesn't know where Ezra is.
Once my starship departs, you'll be stranded here. Quite possible that your friend is dead.
So he's telling her she should go with them?
If you survived, I'm sure he's doing just fine.
You've gambled the fate of your galaxy on that belief.
What kind of ride you got around here?
He's really gonna just let her leave? Or... Wait, that's not a... That can't be a lost wolf, can it? Looks like a possessed one. I really wonder when she is reunited with Ahsoka again, what their conversation is gonna be. Because Ahsoka's obviously not happy right now.
Die well.
That's what Maul said to Saxon in the Siege of Mandalore. Die well, Mandalorian. As he took off in his ship. Or tried to. Before Ahsoka stopped him.
You may follow her. Sabine Wren will have the
He wants to find Ezra too.
Ezra Bridger. You and your master will destroy them both.
He always has a plan. Because I was gonna say, he just finished saying she'd be of great use to us, then you're just gonna let her go? Obviously, he had to have some sort of plan to do that.
Steady.
How is she supposed to find him, though? Oh! What? Who is that? Are those just random people? These look like this planet's version of Tusken Raiders or something. Damn. She's not doing bad considering she's so outnumbered. Oh, she pulled out the lightsaber! More lightsaber action! That one guy kind of reminds me of Embo for some reason. You go, girl! Just doing pretty well with that saber. Oh no, he ruined her tracker. Shoot. I think I would have still held on to that.
Our primary objective is to escape this galaxy. It matters not whether Wren and Bridge are killed. The same can be said for your two masters.
Oh. But now she's got to be thinking, if he looks at them as expendable, is it possible he'll look at her as expendable? If not now, at some point even?
You abandoned me!
She's kind of right. Huh. He's on timeout. Now he wants to ride alongside her.
Better not bail on me this time. Got it?
He's kind of cute. I feel bad for calling him, saying he looked possessed. Oh, she's gonna use him to track instead, since her tracker got destroyed. She's learning to rely more on natural things versus technology, I guess. She's getting closer to the Force.
You were thirsty. Is that it?
What's she gonna find? Who's she gonna find?
Now what?
Is she gonna find a clue or something? He might be tracking the scent of someone, maybe Ezra, to see where he walked. Oh! Haha! Is that a snail looking thing?
Okay, yeah, that trick's over.
Oh my gosh. Oh shoot, he looks like he wants to eat him or something.
Tota!
Does Sabine understand him?
No, it won't hurt you.
She does. Is she trying to... Oh, he recognizes her, her symbol, her emblem. He has one too?
How's that possible?
Oh, what?
Do you know Ezra?
Oh, there's a bunch of them. Huh. Are these the new Ewoks?
You know him. You've seen him.
Where is he, damn it?
Do you know the one she seeks so desperately?
No, he's too young. Comes from a breed of Boken Jedi trained in the wild.
Like me.
Isn't that like Shin? Yeah, I was just gonna say.
He was trained as a Jedi. You, I trained to be something more. I miss the idea of it, but not the truth. The weakness. There was no future there.
Hey, you clearly see one here in this wasteland.
She has her doubts.
Something calls to me. Can't you hear it? Can't you see it?
I see bandits.
The enemy of our enemy is our friend.
Were those the ones that Sabine scared off? That's the guy with the hat again. Or helmet, I should say. I don't know about those two. They seem to be, it seems like there may come a time where she parts ways with him because her vision doesn't align with his. Ooh, a village. I wonder if Ezra is here. Oh, that's a kid. He's gotta be at the end of this little village. Come on. He's gotta be there. Man, the suspense is killing me. I'm dying to see Ezra. I want him to just appear out of nowhere. Is that him? Ah! Oh my god, he's got a beard. Did he have a beard in Rebels? I don't think he did have a beard. OMG. Oh my gosh.
Sure took you long enough.
Wow.
Didn't exactly tell any of us where you were going.
I didn't know where I was going.
Just like Ahsoka said, she had no idea where they're going. That's crazy.
It worked, didn't it?
But not for long.
It worked.
Wow. Oh my gosh, isn't that something? Thrawn, live action Thrawn and Ezra in the same episode. Wow. Wow. So he's just been chilling here this whole time. He looks so different.
Your very own band of rebels.
I have so many questions. How did you get here?
Against her will.
Not right now.
Of course. Thanks for coming.
Wow.
Can't wait to go home.
Yeah. When are you gonna tell him, girl? Unless Ahsoka finds you, I don't know how that's gonna happen. Ezra, we finally found Ezra, guys. Alright. But now it's a problem because they have Shin and Baylan on their tail.
Another comes. A Jedi.
Ahsoka.
Could it be the recently deceased AhsokaTano? I thought it was beyond you to underestimate a Jedi.
He doesn't seem too happy.
We shall consider AhsokaTano alive until we know otherwise.
Mm-hmm. You bet she is.
I want to know her background, history, homeworld, her master, everything.
There he goes.
If a star whale approaches, destroy it with prejudice.
Damn. Cold.
Great mothers shall once again require your dark magic.
Oh my gosh. Oh, is that it? Is it done? Ah, they always have that pause. You're not really sure if there's more or not. That's the ending. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. So, what another episode that was. Did I tell you guys how much I'm loving this series so far? Ironically, even though the show is called Ahsoka, we didn't actually see much Ahsoka during this episode. We just saw her pretty much in the first scene with Hu Yang. But we did, however, see live action Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. We'll get to Ezra in a little bit. But first, let's start with Thrawn. So I think his entrance was just perfect. I loved that they kept name dropping him and hinting at his arrival. They had the ominous music. They had a lot of build up. And then finally you saw him walking at the center of his army and you only saw the back of him. And finally we saw his face, which was incredible. And even in the first Ahsoka trailer, they only showed the back of him. So we're actually seeing his face now. And speaking of that army, something didn't look right about that army to me. And maybe those of you who have read the Thrawn books, because I admit I actually have not read the books. Maybe you can tell me if there's any correlation with the books, but to me, the army almost looked partially dead. And given the fact that he is working so closely with the Night Sisters, we also saw in live action, by the way, that was really cool. I would kind of guess that he is using part of the Night Sister magic to maybe resurrect some of the previous stormtroopers to build himself an army. I'm not sure, but they just kind of looked not really fresh. The uniforms looked kind of soiled and there was some bandage wraps around them. You see how much of an army he actually has, and this is part of the problem with the New Republic is they tend to kind of dismiss things. They think of someone like Thrawn as just, you know, being presumed dead because they haven't heard from him, and meanwhile he's able to build himself up in exile in the shadows, and then next thing you know, he's definitely going to catch them by surprise when presumably he makes it back to the main galaxy. And I think Lars Mikkelsen is doing a great job so far. For those of you who watch Rebels, you'll know that he was the voice actor of Thrawn, so that's really special. It doesn't always work out that the live action actor ends up being the same as the voice actor, but in a way it's special when that is the case because you can hear the voice of the animation, but then seeing it match with the actor's face, it just kind of brings different emotions, I guess. It's kind of cool. It's a bit of a unique experience. Same with Katie Sackhoff reprising her role as Bo-Katan, right? She obviously voiced Bo-Katan in the Clone Wars and Rebels and then got to play her in live action in The Mandalorian. So yeah, it's just kind of cool to see that. I recognize that same soft-spoken voice from Rebels that is soft-spoken but so intimidating at the same time. He's very clear and concise and careful with his words. That's what kind of makes him such an ominous character. You never really know where his head's at. He could compliment you or he could want to kill you. You really can't tell. He showed that several times during the episode. First of all, he let Sabine go and he said, "I intend to honor the deal." And so in a way, he does have honor. He doesn't completely stab you in the back, but then we see later on that he does have an ulterior motive, and that is to let her go so that Shin and Baylan can track her down and find Ezra and then kill them both. He's kind of that villain that thinks so long term. He's okay with losing a few fights if he ends up winning the overall battle. You saw that he pretty much sees Baylan and Shin as expendable, and it makes you kind of wonder if he could see Morgan as expendable at some point as well. I mentioned that in my reaction too. He almost looks at everybody like a chess game. He kind of has his pieces in place and then he plays them according to what he wants so that he can get the outcome that he's looking to achieve. But he doesn't really do the dirty work himself necessarily, so he kind of sends Baylan and Shin out there to track down Sabine. If they're able to track her down and track down Ezra, that works great for him. If they happen to die in the process, oh well, he kind of looks at them as being expendable. So if I were Morgan, I would watch out for him, to be honest. And then of course, by the end, he name drops Ahsoka. That was a really powerful moment because the two of them haven't actually met, but they have name dropped each other. Obviously, Ahsoka first name dropped him in The Mandalorian, and we've seen her name drop him in the series so far as well. It kind of just builds up the suspense and the tension. He wanted to study her master, and where she's from, and that is just classic Thrawn from what we've seen. He was the same way in Rebels. He always wanted to completely study his enemies to fully understand them before he went up against them. Sabine kind of does that too. She has an interest in art similar to how Thrawn does. She's very good at studying people as well, so they're kind of alike almost in that sense. And Ahsoka has said before in Rebels that in order to defeat your enemy, you have to understand them.
To defeat your enemy, you have to understand them.
And for being a hero, that's a great thing. That makes you a good warrior. You're able to go against the enemy. For villains, it's a very dangerous thing because these people play the long game, and that is the whole reason why organizations like the New Republic end up falling, because they underestimate their enemies who are thinking so far ahead of them. Sabine had quite a few moments this episode. First of all, I love the fact that she pulled out the lightsaber and fought those bandits. Again, just me personally, I love when they never pass up an opportunity to throw in some lightsaber action. That's awesome to me. I feel as though she's becoming closer and closer to the Force. You'll notice in this episode her tracker was destroyed in her fight with the bandits, and so instead she relies on the Howler, I think it's called, the animal she was riding, to help her sense her surroundings. You kind of get the sense she's having to rely on nature and trusting her gut versus all of her usual gadgets. I think that will ultimately help her become closer and more in tune with the Force. You'll even notice visually she looks different than she has before. She's wearing a lot of neutral colors, a lot of browns. It's definitely far away from the purples and oranges and bright colors we're used to seeing her have, and her long hair. Kind of get the sense that she's almost kind of blending in with her surroundings, with nature around her, like she's going through a transition phase. Similar to Ahsoka, they kind of both have cloaks on. Sabine wearing the brown cloak, Ahsoka wearing the white cloak. It's like they're both going through their own transition, which is kind of cool to see. Yeah, like I said, the colors she's wearing in her appearance, it's a far ways away from how she looked in the beginning of the series. And speaking of far away, that was epic how Huyang said a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Are we to interpret that as that is where that saying came from in the Star Wars universe? Because Huyang has obviously been around a long time and taught generations of Jedi. I wonder if the saying comes from him, and wouldn't that be a plot twist? And I also wonder what exactly the story was that Huyang was telling us, unless it was some form of breaking the fourth wall, like the story that he's about to tell Ahsoka is the story that we know of Star Wars that we've seen thus far. I don't know. Anyways, I thought that was kind of a cool touch and definitely something I didn't expect. So back to Sabine, you definitely see the consequences and aftermath, you could say, of her decision to give the map up to Baylan. It's definitely a balance between light and dark. Even when she was in that prison cell on Peridia, I think the planet's name was, you could see that she was surrounded by mostly darkness, but there's a little bit of light that shone through. And you could almost say that visually symbolizes her giving into the dark side in a way by giving the map to Baylan in exchange for a bit of light coming back. The light being Ezra, who we're going to get to shortly. Yes, we have Ezra now, but we also have the threat of Thrawn, which is what Ahsoka was afraid of. And we have to just see how that all plays out and how big the consequences are going to be. So Ezra, we finally got to see live action Ezra, which is so cool. I think I was saying in my reaction, I just want to see him already. I want to see him behind her or something. And as soon as I said that, he was standing there behind her. So I believe he's played by Iman Asfandi, I think is how you pronounce his name. Although earlier rumors suggested that he might be played by Mina Masood, the same actor from Aladdin. But yeah, visually he looks good. He looks different also from what I was expecting, just because he looks so different than how he did at the end of Rebels. Obviously he's dressed differently. He's got the beard now. You can tell that some time has definitely gone by, and he's clearly been living with these creatures. I don't know exactly what their species is called. You kind of get the impression that he sacrificed himself to live this lonely life so that the threat of Thrawn could be taken away from everybody else. But the sad thing is Sabine kind of undid some of that, because in order to get him in the first place, she had to allow access for Thrawn to come back. But Ezra doesn't know that yet. So part of their conversation was kind of sad, the way he was asking her, oh, it worked, didn't it? And how did you find me? These are all answers that she's gonna have to give him, presumably in the next episode. And the other question I have is, how exactly did Ezra end up there and away from Thrawn when they were last together? Did they fight and Ezra escaped, or did Thrawn let him go, similar to how he let Sabine go? Because they're on the same planet, but obviously not in the same location. I kind of am curious about that. that. I wanted to talk about Shin and Baylan as well. We didn't see so much lightsaber action from them this episode. I don't even actually believe that we saw any from them, but what we did see is a lot of meaningful conversations between the two of them. There was a lot of talk about the Jedi Order, which was interesting. A lot of people left the Order and didn't agree with their way of doing things, but it's interesting how some people walked a path like Ahsoka, trying to do good in the galaxy, still practicing and abiding by the positive Jedi principles that she learned while being a part of the Order. And then there's others like Baylan and even Reva that take a different path that is, considered more dark, even though they came from the same order. And maybe that illustrates the problem is that every time you have these organizations like the Republic, there's always going to be people who go against it. So no organization is perfect. And that kind of plays into what Baylan was saying, how it's the same cycle over and over again. He wants to break the cycle. It kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones when Daenerys said she wanted to break the wheel or something like that.
They're all just spokes on a wheel. This one's on top, then that one's on top. I'm not going to stop the wheel. I'm going to break the wheel.
But Baylan nonetheless seems to kind of admire the Jedi Order. As he said, he liked the idea of it, but he didn't like the weaknesses and the flaws. So I almost get the impression that he wants to recreate his own version of it. But you have to wonder, is that possible for him to do such a thing? Because as I said, every organization thinks that, and then there's always people who turn against it, and then that organization falls, and then there rises another one. Even Luke, of course, tried to have his own academy, and look what happened. One of his students ended up being Kylo Ren. I kind of do wonder what Baylan's plan is regarding Thrawn. Does he want to bring him back to the main galaxy? And while Thrawn does his thing, Baylan will use that opportunity to seek his own power. I'm not quite sure what he plans to do with Thrawn, but Thrawn already sees him as expendable. So I don't know if Thrawn is gonna wanna have him killed at some point. Shin also was kind of questioning him a lot this episode, and it could just come from a place of curiosity, or is it possible that it's foreshadowing her eventually going against him? Because I'm not so sure that their visions align with one another. So I'm curious to see if she will stick by him or if she'll turn against him, or will she lose him somehow and then walk her own path. Shin, I've said before, I find her to be such an interesting character. The two of them, I like seeing the two of them together, and it's just again so sad with Ray Stevenson having passed away. He left such a great impression in the Star Wars franchise, such a great legacy with this character alone, even though we've only seen him for a few episodes. But I would just love to see more of the two of them, whether it be in Tales of the Jedi or season 2 or something like that. They just have an interesting story, and we kind of found out a little bit more about their background in this episode. The fact that Shin was raised outside of the temple, for example, the fact that Baylan used to be part of the Order. I just want to know more about that. And in the future, if they wanted to make a show with Shin, I would honestly be in favor of that. I think she's so intriguing to me. I just want to know more about her. So yeah, the two of them together, pretty cool in my opinion. Anyways, guys, I can go on forever, but another great solid episode. You guys let me know down below in the comments, as always, what you thought of the episode. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you next week for an all-new episode of Ahsoka. Until next time, guys, take care and see you soon. May the Force be with you.